Mr. Vice President of the Council of Ministers and distinguished guests, Señores y señoras, amigos y amigas,
Ladies and gentlemen, friends all, good morning.
Americas, it is a pleasure to be with you. On behalf of the Government of Canada, thank you to Minister Marrero for the invitation to take part in the Cuba International Tourism Fair, FITCUBA 2016. And of course, le agradezco for making Canada this year's country of honor. While I have been here in Cuba, Foreign Minister Rodriguez has been in Ottawa for meetings with my colleague, Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I hope that Minister Rodriguez is enjoying Canadian hospitality as much as I am enjoying the welcome that I have received here. Thank you for being such kind hosts, and a sincere thank you to all who have put efforts in to make this visit enjoyable. I thank each and every one of you. I also want to thank Canadian Ambassador Yves Gagnon for being a wonderful representative of our country here in Cuba. It was 40 years ago that Canada's former Prime Minister, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, made an historic visit to this country. I am extremely proud to be part of the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau's new government and to be here to demonstrate the strong and enduring friendship between our nations. It has been said that travel makes one modest. You see what a tiny place we occupy in the world. It also shows us how these tiny parts of the world fit together. Travel creates connections to culture and people. It exposes us to an authenticity of life that is different from our own. It is why tourists flock to El Malecón or Old Havana for an afternoon stroll, or to Plaza Vieja for an evening of live music. Why? It is to experience life as the locals do, or to step into places of national heritage and in some cases of international pilgrimage to soak up the history and perhaps step back in time. Travel is the gateway to a vast new world of cultural experiences, of architectural marvels, of exotic languages and cuisines. It has been my pleasure to sample just some of these, particularly yesterday on a fascinating tour of Old Havana. I am pleased to be here to carry on deepening the Canada-Cuba ties that go back to the 18th century. Back then, our commercial relationship was based on some of our best products of the time. It was Canadian codfish and beer in exchange for Cuban rum and sugar. Today, our connections have broadened considerably. In the Caribbean and Central America region, Cuba is Canada's largest merchandise export market. Two-way bilateral merchandise trade totaled $1 billion in 2015. Our trade relationship spans the full spectrum of economic activity from meat, machinery, cereals, and vegetables coming south to minerals, tobaccos, fish, seafood going north. But it is not just Canadian products that cross Cuban borders. Canadian business people do as well. Yesterday, I met with Canadian owners of small and medium-sized enterprises who are involved in joint ventures in Cuba. As Minister for both small business and tourism, I wanted to hear about the opportunities they see and the challenges they experience when doing business here. These are the businesses that are closest to our two communities. These are the ones whose success is so important to the economy of each our countries. Do you know what they told me? They told me how much they enjoy doing business here and cherish their friendship with their Cuban partners. And the truth is, that's what comes from lasting relationships. When Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau came to Canada, what began as an official visit became a lifelong friendship between himself and President Fidel Castro. Their own friendship endured not because they agreed with each other on every issue. This friendship endured because they could be frank, honest, and open with one and the other. This is the approach that the Government of Canada, under the leadership of the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, is committed to following. This is the way forward for both of our countries. And I am committed to working together in order to achieve this. And as we say in French, l'union fait la force. As I told the business owners I met on this wonderful trip, Canada can help and is present here to work together. We have a Trade Commissioner service made up of roughly 1,000 people. It provides on-the-ground trade support from over 150 offices across Canada and around the world, including one right here in Havana. Every day, our trade commissioners are working with Cuban partners to provide advice to Canadian companies to mitigate risks, cut costs, and maximize the business opportunities. Today, I will meet with Minister Malmirka to discuss some of the opportunities and challenges that exist here for Canadian business people. I know Canada and Cuba can collaborate to ensure our SMEs are successful here. Clearly, there is a market for the services and products that Canadians offer, and we hope that our unique bilateral relationship will continue to benefit from our healthy commercial ties. I also have had good conversations with Minister Marrero. Minister Marrero visited me in Canada, and he even came to my hometown of Waterloo. We spoke of the similarities between Canada and Cuba as ecotourism destinations. We were together at FITCUBA 2016 opening gala last night, and I must say the cultural performance was muy wonderful. Muy wonderful. There we go. And he and I will also be meeting this afternoon, and I look forward to continuing this dialogue. Cuba has a growing tourism market for exports, and since many Canadian companies have expertise that lie with Cuba's priorities, particularly in renewable energy, infrastructure, and agri-food, there are overlapping mutual interests that fit with Canada's and Cuba's future aspirations. Companies across Canadian economy are providing world-leading clean technology products, information communications, and service solutions for a wide range of applications supported by a strong focus on research and development and export orientation. A number of Canadian companies are already exploring business opportunities and negotiating with the utility in Cuba on solar and wind investment projects. Canada is also playing a key role in the supply of clean technologies for resort construction, from LED lighting to water purification systems, solar water heaters to solar panels. Canada has renewable energy expertise that can help Cuba research its long-term economic and social development goals. With 4,000 deserted islands and keys, miles of undeveloped coastline, a huge variety of native species, and extensive reef system, Cuba has some of the best preserved land and waters in the Caribbean. And through its mature reforestation methods, and with over 1.5% of the population involved in tree planting projects, Cuba's forested areas are gaining a larger ecological footprint across the island. We know ecotourists come to Cuba for its hiking and cycling opportunities, to observe nature and to go cave diving. And we have not even talked about the most friendly people in the world. Of course, after the Canadians. With its 7 national parks, 6 UNESCO biosphere reserves, and a vast network of protected areas, and some of the most beautiful natural World Heritage sites, it is no surprise that Cuba is such a popular ecotourism destination. While our countries are remarkably different in terms of geography and landscape, we are remarkably similar in how we value the environment, both as an economic engine that powers an entire subsection of the tourism industry and as a source of national pride. It was one of Canada's greatest natural wonders that once inspired the famous Cuban poet José María Herida while overlooking the thundering waters of Niagara Falls early in the 1820s. He wrote, "Asombroso torrente, how the sight of you confounds my spirits, filling me with terror and wonder. Where is your beginning? who has been nourishing your inexhaustible source as the centuries go by. Still today, visitors from Latin America and the Caribbean, like so many others around the world, make Niagara Falls their first stop in North America. How many people have been to Niagara Falls? Put up your hands. Well, we welcome you back, and anyone who hasn't seen, please consider this your official visit. We'd love to have you. You have to see the falls, as well as the many other signature destinations that we have in Canada. At Table Rock, on the edge of Canada's Horseshoe Falls, they can see the plaque dedicated to Heredia and the immortal words that remind us of nature's amazing power and immense fragility, and also of our shared humanity. As ministers of tourism, Minister Marrero and I both understand that the natural beauty of our countries is our greatest treasure as tourism destinations. From the Canadian Rocky Mountains to Atlantic shores to the vast and beautiful northern landscape. This is why Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, has entrusted me to promote Canada's natural beauty and national parks and work with nearby communities to help create jobs by growing local ecotourism industries. Our colleagues from the region have been working closely at this very issue in recent days, talking about the importance of sustainability in tourism. And as you can see from the public mandate I received from Prime Minister Trudeau, I am pleased to report that Canada too values responsible, sustainable, and universally accessible tourism. Let us all work together. Querido amigo, explore ways to increase our economic, commercial, and personal ties. As Canada's ambassador to Cuba, Yves Gagnon, said at last year's 70th anniversary celebration to the Canada-Cuba relationship, our collaboration has been diverse, but there is room for growth and mutual benefits to be gained. Indeed, there are. Whether in tourism, trade, and investment sectors, in renewable energy, information communication technologies, and agri-food, in academic and development cooperation, Canada looks forward to deepening and expanding its long-standing and constructive relationship with Cuba. Viva Cuba! Viva, Viva Canada! Viva, Viva nuestra amistad! Viva. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Gracias.